All right, we are live. Episode. What the
I don't
heck?
even know.
I
Is
think
it
I think it's
13?
13. I think we're on lucky
Yeah,
number
13.
lucky number 13, and it's a Friday. Ha!
Hey,
Would you look
hey.
at that? Would you look at that, guys and gals? Yeah. All right. So Jerry's here. Always first one here.
Hey, Jerry. What's up?
Well, Siddhuey, we have a very interesting episode. There was a lot of Aaron Rodgers talk last week. Um, And here we are again, back onto the Aaron Rodgers. So let's dive right into it. We got a lot of topics.
Yeah, so to that point, last week, I think it was the last two shows, I've been kind of like previewing the NFL a little bit, like, hey, this is what's coming up, whatever. And in my NFL previews, I mentioned the New York Jets as a team to watch because they had Aaron Rodgers join the team. And Aaron Rodgers, like, kind of to back up for a second, to give you a little bit of backstory of the Jets. The Jets are like one of those like hapless franchises of the NFL, kind of like the Clippers in the NBA, where it's like they never get it right. Like they just always kind of suck. You know what I mean? So Aaron Rodgers joining the Jets was a big deal because before he even took his first snap, he's already the best quarterback in their entire franchise's history. Like he's already that good, right? And because they already have a really great team, they were thinking Super Bowl going into the season. So the expectations were extremely high. Well, come Monday night, his first game, Aaron Rodgers, which is, by the way, the first game was on 9/11. I bring that up because it's going to tie into this story.
America.
So it's America, Ford F-150, Chevy Silverados.
There we go, baby.
Um, and of course, the game's being played in New York City, technically New Jersey, but New York for the Jets. And so as a way to commemorate 9/11,
Wait. They do play in New Jersey.
Yes. So their actual stadium is based in New Jersey. Because if you think about it, bro, an NFL stadium in like the middle of New York City just
Yeah. No. I got it. Me and Addie were just debating, not debating. We were talking about this on the last episode of Talking Stuff with McMaster.
Mhm.
It's just crazy. Then you just brought that up. It's just weird. Anyways, go
Yeah.
on, Sadu.
So anyway, so they're trying to commemorate 9/11. So as a way to commemorate 9/11, they have Aaron Rodgers, right? So like everyone else is being introduced. He's the last one to come out introduced, and he's holding an American flag, right, as a way to commemorate 9/11, and goes charging out, onto the field. Aaron Rodgers, and the quarterback is here, right? Now, this is already sort of interesting because Aaron Rodgers, I don't think, based on what I've read, believes that 9/11 actually happened.
No. Wait.
Yes.
Like he believes
Yeah, no,
inside job.
I told you you were going to stop this.
Wait. Because there's a lot of ways you could not believe in 9/11.
Yeah,
Does
yeah,
he
yeah, yeah.
believe like it didn't even happen? It was all a hoax, or does he believe that it happened, but it was an inside job?
He doesn't think it happened.
Like
Like,
straight
like
up
he
didn't
doesn't
happen.
like it didn't happen, or like because the way it's described is basically there was a backup quarterback at the Packers. So when he joined the team, one of the first things Aaron Rodgers asked him was, "Do you think 9/11 is real?" Which suggests to me he doesn't think the entire thing as a concept is real, right? And the backup quarterback goes, "Yeah, obviously. Like, what do you mean?" And Aaron Rodgers like, "I don't know, man. Do some reading on it. There's some interesting stuff about it." Was what he told the backup quarterback, right? Now, Aaron Rodgers has never commented publicly on this, like to the media, but the backup quarterback tells a very big story that basically Aaron Rodgers doesn't think that 9/11 is real. Now, there might be way more that Aaron Rodgers believes, but in terms of that, but the basic thing that he took away was he doesn't believe 9/11 is real. So, the person who does not believe 9/11 is real is carrying out an American flag commemorating 9/11 on the day of the Monday night game. They get the ball. Within 4 plays, he gets injured, and as you can see from the headline on your screen, he tears his Achilles, not only effectively ending his season, but possibly his entire career. He may never play again. And the mood in the actual stadium when people started to realize, yeah, okay, he's probably torn his Achilles. It was like you could drop a pin and you could have heard. Like you could have. It was the quietest like stadium I have ever heard. That place, it felt like a funeral. Like it genuinely felt like a wake, right? Because the whole time they've been building up to this guy playing and killing it. When he got taken off the game, if you flip to your next tab, you will see the coach's reaction. Look at how enthused he was.
Well, wait, riddle me this. Did they win or lose that night?
They actually ended up winning. Improbably so. I mean, it was actually they won on a punt return in overtime.
Okay.
Like a game clinching punt return in overtime is how they won. Now, look, they got the win, but no one thinks that they're going to win many more games the rest of this year now that Aaron Rodgers is gone. You can tell that from the coach's face. So when this all happened, you can probably imagine the internet went crazy, right? I mean, and the internet went crazy in a lot of ways. So before we get to Patrick Mahomes' tweet, first there was a lot of predictably the internet making fun of Aaron Rodgers. This is someone who has said time and time again he doesn't believe in doctors, who doesn't believe in modern science, who thinks all that shit is stupid, and now he is firmly going to need modern science to actually come back. This is a person. Go ahead.
Is he a Christian Scientist or whatever?
No, he just listens to Joe Rogan, and so therefore he doesn't believe in anything. Like that's like Joe Rogan is literally okay. So I'm not just saying Joe Rogan is a joke. I'll tell you why he believes in Joe Rogan. When the COVID vaccine was being disseminated by the U.S. government and by our health authorities and stuff, he didn't ask a doctor whether or not he should get the COVID vaccine. He actually called Joe Rogan, and he recounts this story in detail. He goes, "When I heard about the vaccine, I was unsure, so I called my friend Joe Rogan to understand more." So when Aaron Rodgers is faced with a medical issue, as opposed to consulting either the team doctors who he has complete access to, or any number of doctors in the country, he eschews that option and instead reaches out to Joe Rogan as his personal guide in the field of medical science. Okay? And so Joe Rogan tells him, bro, you don't need COVID vaccine. You just need to take ivermectin. And ivermectin will be enough for you to be vaccinated against the COVID vaccine. Aaron Rodgers believed this to such a degree that when he was asked by the media if you've been vaccinated, he basically said, yes, I am protected against COVID-19. And it wasn't until weeks or months later that we found out that he had never taken the vaccine, that he was lying about that he had taken the vaccine, actually even lied to the NFL because the NFL mandated that he take it. He lied to the NFL, lied to everyone, and just said, yeah, like I took ivermectin because Joe Rogan told me it works, and I don't understand why people are questioning Joe Rogan. That is what he said, okay? So Aaron Rodgers doesn't believe in medical science, and he's going to need that now to come back from his injury. So everyone
not necessarily, dude. Maybe Joe Rogan knows a way to get that going, bro. Don't doubt the Rogan.
I won't. You know, Austin and Addie, I'm sure, probably know much about the Rogan, and I'm sure they can help us with the Rogan medical, techniques. But essentially, everyone was making fun of him for that, which to some degree I get. At the same time, I mean, it's hard to see a player, get hurt with his Achilles injury and be out. But nonetheless, those are those jokes. But then you also had a number of people expressing sympathy for that man. Flipping to the next tab, you will see Patrick Mahomes, great quarterback, who is trying to say, I hate that man. I'm praying for the best. But when you don't include a comma, sometimes things can be read differently.
I think that
if you read,
I think the comma would make it seem more like I hate that man, comma, praying for the best. Where I think I hate that man, pause. Pray for the best. Pray for the best.
I like how you're trying to super get into it, like praying for the best.
It's because you put your head down during those periods.
Yeah,
I hate that man. Pray for the best.
Just lift your pray for the
to God. You put praying hands.
Praying for the best.
Praying for the best.
Do you remember when Gordon Hayward injured his ankle and then Dwight Howard tweeted out, Lord, carry that man?
Yeah, he's the best. He's a good comedian, dude.
It was so great that he goes, "Hate that man," which really reads like "I hate Aaron Rodgers." Obviously, he wasn't saying, and no one actually thinks that's what he was saying. And that's why you can see right there. There's a new version of this post because he added the comma in the second version, which obviously gives it the sentiment that was needed. But it's pretty funny to see a quarterback in
Because
his
you
entire career.
you should write.
Yeah.
I hate to see that.
Yeah, but what he's trying to say, he's trying to say like this: hate that man. Like it's like I hate
Oh,
that
you're
man. You know
saying
what I mean?
I hate that comma man.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, yes.
That's
Okay. I
that's
thought you
that's
wanted
how
to
you write
say
it.
hate that man, comma, praying for the
No, no, no,
best.
no, no.
And I was like,
It's
dude,
hate
that
that.
sounds horrible.
No,
That
it's hate
sounds
that. It's hate that, comma man. So
man.
that
Yeah,
means
yeah, 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 yeah.
I'm praying for the
Yeah,
best,
yeah,
which is
yeah.
which
Yeah.
is what he meant,
Yeah, yeah,
obviously,
yeah,
and
yeah,
like
yeah.
no one is criticizing him for this. Everyone knows it's a funny, like it's a harmless kind of thing that happened. But it's just funny that this was also some of the comedy that surrounded Aaron Rodgers' season ending. So just some of the interesting things, and that also leads us now to the next part of the Jets, which is the next tab,
One more
which
thing about Patrick Mahomes,
yeah,
though. Clearly, Patrick Mahomes actually runs his X.
yes, he
Um,
does. Yeah,
because
he does.
if that was your PR person or your
They would
agent,
have gotten that right.
well,
Yeah.
they wouldn't have written that at all. They would have written it different, completely different to begin with. They
Now
wouldn't have.
Patrick Mahomes
They
definitely
wouldn't have even left the door open for that to be a possibility. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's
No,
that's that's fucking funny, dude. That's
yeah,
fucking
no,
funny.
it is great, right?
Hate
And
that,
he
man.
runs
I love that.
just
I
it's
fucking
so
love
good,
it.
dude.
Oh, I
The
love that.
comedy from this moment was great. So
I hate
obviously
that, man.
with the
Fuck them.
Jets,
Yeah.
it's like I think someone wrote. I translated this. I hope his ankle fucking cracks, like snaps in half or some shit.
Guess I
You
won't
know?
be seeing you at the Super Bowl or
Yeah.
playoffs. You know?
It's so good. And so this also then led to, like people asking, well, what does this mean now for the Jets going forward? Because like, obviously they cannot persist with the quarterback who's their backup because they thought he was so shitty. That's why they brought in Aaron Rodgers. So what do? And if you see in the headline right there, you'll see the name of Tom Brady. And while I don't think in any conceivable way Tom Brady will be joining the New York Jets, there's a possibility, albeit slight, like 1% or less.
I'd also
But there
heard Kaepernick's name get thrown out.
Kaepernick so much. Kaepernick, in fact, actually called the Jets himself.
Yeah.
He was interested. That's not going to happen.
It's a shame.
It's just is what it is. It's not going to happen for Kaepernick. I think most likely they'll end up, if they do make a trade, it'll be someone like Jacoby Brissett, who's just a kind of a random.
All right, here we go. Here we go. Jacoby Brissett.
I personally think
That
he's
is
the
a
best.
wild name.
Cool name. I
Brissett.
will say, I think he is the best option of the conceivable ones. Now, sure, if you can get Tom Brady, that's totally different. But Tom Brady is a New England Patriot who is very much a rivalry with the Jets. So it'd be kind of odd for him to join the Jets and try to rescue them from this devastation that they're in.
Well, and
So
he owns part of the Raiders now.
yeah, he'd have to opt out of owning that team right now
He
as well. So
just
there's a lot
bought
of
them. Like that seems ridiculous.
yeah, it's a whole thing. But anyway, the Jets' whole season has gone up in flames. There's no need to pay attention to them the rest of the season now. And that preview that we did is kind of null and void because now it doesn't matter that he's out. So yeah, very interesting opening night for the New York Jets, and I thought it was really funny just how it all came crashing down in really quick fashion. It's kind of amazing. So yeah,
It's interesting that Kaepernick's name's not even on this top 5 list
yeah, and I understand why. Like he has not played
in
in the
years.
NFL 2017. I think it was 2017 or 2018 is the last time he played. I think
Wow, I thought it was longer, but yeah.
no. So I mean, bro, look, that's just too long to be out of the game, and all of a sudden you're going to show up and start playing. And also, let's not forget, Kaepernick's last showing in the NFL was horrible. He was not good. So we're not talking about some guy who was like tearing it up at the time that he was in the league. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? When he left.
Yeah.
So Yeah, there's no chance of him coming back. And all the quarterbacks that are on that list right there, if you asked me who would I take, I would take all of those guys pretty much over Kaepernick. And I'm not like Carson Wentz, the guy you just rolled past. He is a terrible person, like a terrible person. But I would still take him over Kaepernick because I just think he has more to give right now. So
What team was he on before?
he was on the Washington Commanders last season, and
The
he got
Commandos.
yeah.
Stupid
So
name.
yeah, but anyway, that's a little stuff there in the Jets.
Is Zach? Is this? Why do I know this kid?
You know this kid maybe because he is the current quarterback of the Jets right now.
Okay. He's the one that's replaced. Okay. Yes.
He also had if that's the story, the reason you know him, then that's one. Or he had a story that kind of crossed over, like went past the NFL and went to pop culture, which was that he used to sleep with his mom's friend, like he was dating her or something, and it just became this big story about him dating his mom's friend or something like that. So anyway,
was she hot or was it like a creepy?
I honestly have never seen her picture. I never cared enough to look.
Was it like he got groomed kind of style, or like
no,
it was
no,
like
no. Like he had a girlfriend in college who was like one of those like model types. Because when you're a quarterback, of like a major
yeah. You don't gotta explain it. We all know. Yeah, yeah. It's football.
So he cheated on her with the friend of his mom, like someone who's in her 40s and 50s, whatever the fuck it is. So his girlfriend that was cheated on, she's the one who made the story public. She's the one who was like, yeah, he cheated on me with this fucking girl, with this woman. Which I was like, I understand you feel scorned, but that's also like, do you really want to tell people that like this dude left you for a 50-year-old? I don't know. I don't know how that works, but like nonetheless, that was her like little claim to little moment of fame, was talking about how Zach Wilson cheated on her with like the mom or something. So anyway, yeah, that's Zach Wilson. So
Here we go. I
go.
gotta know this one. So that's the ex-girlfriend.
Yes, that's the ex-girlfriend.
Who was a cutie. Yeah. Where?
This is a very typical.
And is this the mom's friend? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So he went from the younger version to the older version because that looks like the same girl down the road. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That's just
seriously.
Sorry, young lady, but that's your future. But what I'd love to know if it was a grooming thing, or if he just.
I don't think so. I remember just hearing about like it was just like no, he's just a fucking piece of shit who cheated on her. It wasn't like oh he's just some like he was groomed by her.
Well, he's probably cheated on her with tons of people then, not just the mom's friend.
Yeah, for sure.
I
mean, all of the quarterbacks are pretty much
Yeah.
So anyway, that is yeah.
I didn't know that. That's not what I was. That's not what I was thinking. Maybe I'm thinking of it. I thought he was the little guy that was good in college, then came to the NFL, and he was smaller.
Johnny Manziel?
That's who I'm thinking of. Because his photo, he looks like a tiny guy. Am I wrong?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, but I think he actually in real life is like 6'1", 6'2". I think he actually is kind of really tall. So yeah. So, yeah.
All right. So now we're on to Mr. Sanders.
So have you been following at all what's going on with Deion Sanders?
Deion Sanders, I find to be he I will say this. He's like the Rock of football. Just the way he talks. Well, also the Rock's involved in football. That was stupid. But like he seems like he's a pro wrestler.
Okay, so let me
is that like a hot take?
No. Okay, so this might be something that you might find interesting. So if it's not, I'll just stop it. So Deion Sanders played NFL cornerback, which is a position that guards wide receivers, people who don't know, right? So he's playing out there playing defense.
Yeah.
When he was about to come into the NFL, the cornerback position was one of the lowest paid positions in the league. So he wanted to do something to kind of drum up the interest and his own fame, and so that way he can make more money when he got to the NFL. So Deion created this persona. He would actually show up to college football games in a stretch limo, wearing fur coats and things like that. So if you can imagine in college football to see that in the 80s, it's like, what the hell is going on, right? It was shocking, but he created this wrestling almost persona to increase his celebrity so he could make more money once he got into the NFL. And he did. He completely changed like how we view that position, how we view celebrity in the NFL. Like there's a lot more to it, but he did a lot for that, right? So he's always been this kind of wrestling character. Growing up as a, young guy when he was in the 90s, playing in the NFL, Dion was one of my favorite athletes ever, bro. He personified cool. The kind of cool that you wanted to be a part of as a young kid. You know what I mean? He would like high step in the end zone. He had flash. He would say funny things in press conferences. Like he exuded the kind of cool that you wish as a person you could exude, right? And over the years, he's just always trafficked in being Dion. Fast forward to now, he started to get into college football coaching. He first coached at a HBCU, Jackson State, and he recently left Jackson State to come to Colorado.
Yeah, he took half the team with him, right?
And he brought all of his good players from Jackson State.
Yeah.
So he came to Colorado, and this has angered a lot of the established college authority, which is normally white people, but I mean, it's just really established college authority in general. And what he's done is he's really upset everyone because he's coming out here as a coach wearing gold chains, right? Talking about, I'm going to pay these players, which is legal to do. I'm going to pay these players. I'm going to make sure I get these guys this money. He's engaging in flash. And remember, college coaches generally engage in like conservative behavior. Like, I'm going to help your kid become a good model citizen, and I'm going to do that, right? Dion's like, no, I'm going to help your kid get paid, right? So it's kind of caused a lot of the established collegiate people to kind of be like, I don't like this. Like this is abrasive. This is too cocky. I don't like this kind of thing. And then you add in the fact that he's black, and there's also a racial element that's at play as well in terms of their dislike for Deion Sanders. This racial element is seen in this article, and this coach, Jay Norvell, who is the coach of Colorado State, who is playing Colorado this weekend. He took a shot at Deion by saying, I don't care if they hear this in Boulder. He goes, I told them I took my hat off. I took my glasses off. I said, when I talk to grown-ups, I take my hat and glasses off. That's what my mother taught me. Now, one, beyond being an absolutely corny and stupid-ass statement, it's also couched in some racial coding there, right? And this has been met with, obviously, naturally, Deion Sanders being kind of pissed about it, and his whole team being pissed about it. I am firmly convinced Deion Sanders' team is better than Colorado State, so I think they'll beat them this weekend. And when they beat them, I would not be surprised in the slightest if Deion Sanders walks to half field where the coaches meet after the game, and he takes off his hat and sunglasses and shakes the man's hand to troll him. He's already begun trolling him by handing out hat and sunglasses to his entire team. And he wants them to wear them to the game, which it looks like that's right there in this clip. Okay?
You got something to give him? Yeah. Let's give him something.
You could watch. I can't beat his talking, so you might want to leave it the volume on.
Nah, because then we get flagged.
Okay, so he basically now, as you see all these people walking in there, here to hand everyone sunglasses and hats. I also think the game is being played in. Go ahead.
I just, I wear a hat 24/7 since forever, right? But and I know this, and I think this is something that's being lost, especially on the kids 10 years or plus. Now we're old now.
Mm-hmm.
I know that when you sit down for dinner, especially inside of a restaurant, and I don't do this. You're supposed to. Back in the day,
yeah.
You were supposed to take off your hat. Period. And sunglasses inside, you know me, Siddhuey. I wear my sunglasses. Once I leave the house, I wear my sunglasses 24/7. And I can tell people look at me like I'm a weirdo too. I've been stopped in stores. I've been asked to take them off before. It's interesting. So I get both. The hat thing I think is interesting, but you're a professional sports team that wears hats. Like traditionally, the coaches always have worn hats.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah, it's look, I also think just in general, like
it's not like he's going to the White House. Like, get out of
Exactly.
here.
I think attitudes towards fashion obviously changed with our generation versus the previous. Like you said, wearing hats and the sunglasses in a, in the restaurant is not a big deal. Like
Not
it's
not
normal.
anymore. Not anymore. It's been normalized. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been
Sunglasses is
normal.
still kind of weird. If you sit down
Hey,
at
yeah, but I
Benihana's
mean,
and you still have your sunglasses, who are you, Jay-Z? Because Jay-Z, I have to say this. Jay-Z, first guy I've always pondered this to do. Does he have he's so wealthy, right? Does he have specialty sunglasses to where it looks super shaded, but like he could still see good out him? Because he'll be wearing them courtside at the basketball game. And it's like,
oh
dude,
yeah,
why would you pay all that money to not really see the game wearing them shades?
dude, you must have special glass. Like, come on,
Right?
it's Jay. He's got
Yeah.
to have custom
I,
glasses.
I bet
They're probably like two-way mirrors, like
Yeah,
one
yeah,
way,
that's
like
what I'm
a
saying. That's
two-way
what I'm
mirror.
saying. That's what I'm saying.
Not a
I
one-way
bet
mirror,
Deion
dog.
Sanders got the same hookup. They
He
got some
might.
nice ass glasses.
He might. But the ultimate, like I said, yeah, he might have some nice ass glasses. But the interesting thing is, look, there's a lot of pushback towards him because of how he's handling his program. I do think college coaches could learn something, which is that if you are trying to get attention in college football, it's best to actually lean into sort of this extravagance that Deion's leaning into, as opposed to trying to be this conservative, buttoned up, like whatever. Like, you need to stand out. Remember, college coaches are salesmen. You are going into the homes of these kids and trying to sell them the program. So it's important to actually try to sell yourself a little bit more, which is what Deion is doing. Now, I don't want to make it seem like Deion is the greatest guy in the world, because he's done some things in the past as far as the way he left Jackson State and things like that have rubbed me the wrong way. But you can't help but root for the guy right now in some ways, or at least be interested in the story.
He's entertaining.
It's entertaining. He's sticking it to the powers that be, which is always fun to see in any sort of institution, is when someone comes up and is kind of sticking it to the stodgy authoritarians, basically, authority figures, I should say. So it is really interesting. And he's playing Colorado State this weekend. Again, they should win. The big game is coming up 2 weeks from now when they play USC. USC has the #1 quarterback in the country, likely the #1 pick in the upcoming NFL draft. He's one of the most highly touted quarterbacks in the last 3 or 4 years, I'd probably say, of college football. And they have a great team and are favored to beat Colorado when they play them. If by some possible thing Colorado wins that game, the biggest sports story in America will be Colorado football, regardless of anything that's happening in the NFL. So be on the lookout for that. Should be a fun time to follow Deion. So yeah,
Deion and Deion, like I gotta say, I don't know much about college sports at all, but I think why people are upset more than anything to do is that he's grabbing the whole storyline.
Yeah, it's all about him.
I see stuff about him.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't follow college sports in general, but I know who I know that he's involved now. I knew who he was prior to that. He's a famous dude, but I'm saying he's now, these professional athletes, once they retire, they either disappear or they do something different and they come back into the spotlight. He's totally done that. And he's done it so much that I'm sure he's pissing off everybody in the college realm because he's stealing all the internet buzz,
Yeah,
so
dude, all the attention's on Colorado football.
Yeah.
Like, they're the most talked about team, and that's crazy, bro.
That's
Especially
pissing off people. Yeah.
Oh, it is. It's pissing him off. And like I said, he's doing it in a way that's very unapologetically like street or urban. I don't want to call it black because there's very different ways of being black, right? But it's a very like hip hop, like urban thing. And I know it sounds like coded language, but it's not meant to be. It's just like the way that he's approaching it is just a little more flashy and interesting. And I think it's great.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah.
All right, Jared's got some stuff to say. He said that he didn't think that Kaepernick with the kneeling fans would take that. Wait, I'm trying to read what he said here. I think fans won't ever forgive Cap for kneeling. I mean, I think that's kind of divided. I don't think that's all fans, but maybe in New York.
You know who won't? But quickly to Jared's point, the people who won't forgive Kaepernick are all the people who own NFL teams.
Yeah, exactly.
They're largely on the side of the divide that Tubi is talking about, which is against Kaepernick.
Yeah.
So Jared's point, those people are never going to hire him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
he agreed with me that the mom and the girlfriend look the same. He asked, I don't remember, Jer, but I like about the wearing sunglasses in stores. I can't recall, but then again, I would wear like my hood up, sunglasses on, hat, with a
you look like a
with a mask on during
You look like
COVID.
a Unabomber, bro. That's
But
what
I was trying to not be seen, not be touching anything. I was covering every part of my body. Like I was, which I get. Like looking back at it, if I saw me walking into a store the way I dress, I would also be like, that guy looks weird. Stop him. So I get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it. But he agreed. The Benihana's comment, I agree too, Jared. Wearing your sunglasses inside of Benihana's not smart. A, you're gonna miss the show, like Jared pointed out. B, they're gonna fog up. They do in the volcano. You got stuff. Then your glasses are all fogged. So what you gonna do? All right. A lot of times though, I'm wearing expensive sunglasses. That sounds so lame, but like I don't want to like set them down and forget them. So I'll just keep them on, or I'll hang them on my shirt. You know what I mean? Like one or the other, but whatever.
Nice sunglasses.
If you got, yeah, and I haven't lost my nice sunglasses. Yeah. I have one pair of expensive sunglasses, and I only bought those because I ran out of the Hella Grip freebies. I was living off Hella Grip freebies for like a decade there. All right, let's get it. Go ahead.
I got these Ray-Ban like the aviators back when I was like in middle school or something. I still have them. They're heavy as crap though. And it's like hard to wear them constantly because they're just so heavy, and they create like indentations.
Yeah.
But they're nice, I guess, and plus they look like a cop.
Did they have the little metal with the plastic that sticks out?
I don't think it's a plastic that sticks out. It's like metal. I guess
no,
metal.
on the eyepieces, like right through here.
Oh yeah, the plastic. Yeah. That sticks up. Yeah.
I need one. I need where they're plastic all the way through, and it just sits on your nose. That for some reason doesn't leave a mark for me.
Okay.
But if I wear the ones like you're saying, I have a pair. They're not Ray-Bans, but they're like knockoff Ray-Bans that have that little metal thing that then has the little squishy stuff. Those leave marks. But to be honest with you, if I wear these and I'm editing all day, I don't notice them. But then when I take them off to go to the bathroom or something, I'll take them off to wash my face. I'll see the marks because I'll be sitting here all day. Just like, I think it's also a time thing too. Like how long do you have them on? We could talk sunglasses a different episode.
Yeah. We'll do a tier episode.
Tier list on sunglasses.
Sunglasses.
Now this article pissed your boy off. Go ahead, Siddhuey. Get into it.
Okay, I'll just set it. So last episode, I talked about how the United States were about to go to the semifinals to play Germany. I said they might struggle in that game. I actually did mention that. I said this is gonna be a tricky one because Germany can out rebound them. They have more size, but I think they'll get through and eventually they'll play Canada in the final.
Yeah.
Well, as things happen, Germany beat them in the semis, the United States, and Canada lost in the semis to Serbia. So Germany and Serbia played in the final. Germany won. The MVP of the tournament was Dennis Schroeder. You remember him from the Lakers. And the United States played Canada in the bronze game and lost to Canada, failing to medal once again in the FIBA World Cup. So I'll just say before you get into your rant of why this article is stupid, what I think I don't think it's happened just now, but you've been kind of seeing it growing for the last decade. Look, the international game has grown. If I asked you right now, who are the top 10 NBA players and what countries they're coming from, 3 or 4 of them are not coming from the United States. The best player in the world comes from Serbia, right? One of the top 10 players in the league, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, comes from Canada. One of the top 10 players, Joel Embiid, comes from, technically, he might actually end up playing for the United States. He has citizenship here, but he really has come from Cameroon, right? So Cameroon and also France is where I think he's connected to as well. So he's not from here, right? So there's been a growth. Giannis is from Greece.
Yeah, I was about to say Giannis too. That's a big one for sure.
So Luka Doncic is from Slovenia. I just gave you 5 players in the top 10 who are not from the United States. That's if you go back 10 years, all the top 10 players from the U.S. That's not the case anymore. It's loosening. So the game has become more global. The Canadian team is so good now, bro. They've got Jamal Murray, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Andrew Wiggins is on that team. They have
Mabel Jordan.
solid. Yeah, Mabel Jordan. So the point is the game has gotten global, and unless the U.S. throws out their best squad, they will lose to these international teams. Now you can go and rant on why you think this is
Well,
stupid.
first off, just to point out, this isn't just in basketball. This is the same issue in baseball. It's the same issue in skateboarding. It's the same issue. Actually, all of extreme sports, not just skateboarding, all of extreme sports. And same with basketball and baseball. The only one that really hasn't changed and hasn't been, taken over by international players is football. And that's because they play soccer. They don't play football in those countries. But all the other ball sports and your extreme sports, they're being done internationally. I mean,
It's also cheaper to play, it's also cheaper to skate and play basketball than it is to play football, where you need pads, helmets, all that kind of shit.
Well, it's also easier to play basketball or skateboard because to just get good at basketball, you could sit there and just shoot.
Yeah.
And get really good at shooting. You could sit in the same exact court because it's got good cement and just do kickflips all day long.
Yeah.
You can't really, with football, you kind of need to be running.
You need to at least
you got to be catching it. You got to be doing some stuff. So, yes, baseball is interesting, though, because, you kind of need other people for baseball, too. I guess you could go to a batting cage and just practice at a batting cage. Regardless, though, I think that this is something that the internet has really made because you could scout, and saying that just from extreme sports mindset, because I'm actually involved in that, you can scout stuff way differently than how we used to scout when we started even Heligrip. That's 2012, mind you. And at that time, we had JD, one of the world's greatest, from Paris. I knew JD. He's a homie. He's the big bro. So I was able to get him on Heligrip, or me and Addy were able to reach out, get him on the squad. Now I could look at I just sent a package to this young kid out in Barcelona because he was sending me some clips. I was like, yo, let me send you a box. He's able to contact me, send me directly footage, and show me what he's doing. And you're like, damn, all right, dude, you're killing it. Let me send you a box, all through the magic of your phone, right? You look at when we were growing up, that wasn't possible. You weren't able to scout that way. You would it'd have to be word of mouth, or you'd have to physically go to that country, go to the high school, go to the college, whatever it may be, uni, and see those kind of things going down. The internet has made it way more open field for international players of all sports, in my opinion, to get the scene. Now, my beef with the article, fuck Canada. You took my goddamn championship. We know you're good. Stop acting like you're not our little step bro. It should have said, you said Serbia was the other country?
Yeah.
It should have said Serbia and Germany are showing that it's a global game. Okay, article, I get you. Fuck Canada. You little stepbrother. I will never forgive the whole the whole freaking, and I'll tell this story, and I'm going to tell this story until the day I die. Dude in front of me in BK, wearing a Warriors jersey the whole game. That game ends, he takes off the Warrior jersey, and he's got a Toronto Raptors jersey underneath, bro. This is not anything new, Canada. You're in the NBA. You're in the NBA.
I know. They're in the NBA, but we haven't seen a lot of great Canadian players.
Sure.
Canadian players have just come in.
Wiggins won a ring, baby. Wiggins won a ring, baby. Let's go, Wiggins. There's got to be some.
Jamal Murray.
Is there not Is there no players from the 90s or 80s Canadian?
No, not like this. No, bro. I mean, yes, that there were Canadian players, but never top 20 players or top 10 players. That, I think, to me, what has changed is, while we have had international talent for a long time in the NBA, we've never had international talent this good. So many of it from all these different countries. They're the top players in the game. It's why, and you can click over to the next article, because I'm going to tie into that now, the next one on our list, which is about LeBron James and trying to recruit Steph Curry and Kevin Durant to go win the Olympics, right? Them doing that is great. I'm sure the U.S. will win the Olympics if those guys go, because if we have Curry, Durant, LeBron, and all of the other guys, we're gonna win the gold medal, right? But the larger question is to be those guys are all in their late 30s. So what happens when they leave, right? And this is their what happens?
Yeah. No,
Like,
I feel you. I feel you, Siddhuey. I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
we can't, like, we are literally, these three guys especially, because these three guys have largely been the faces of the league for the last like several years, right? So these three guys, but like, we can't keep relying on Steph Curry, LeBron James, and like, Kevin Durant to keep saving us all the time. Like,
Yeah.
they're gonna leave.
Yeah.
They're going to leave. But like that's a problem, bro. We're not like the most hyped American talent coming out recently was Zion and Ja. They're Americans who have high flying games, all that kind of stuff. They were supposed to be the guys to kind of lead American basketball forward in terms of excitement, all that kind of stuff. We don't need to rehash what's going on with them, but let's just say both of them are not in the best place, right? So the question is, what's the future for this in the short term? What the article is referencing, if all those guys play, it's always fun to watch Team USA basketball when they have superstars playing because they're all playing together and they're competing, and they're going to probably destroy teams if those guys are playing.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. But I will say this: look, dude, Serbia's good, hella good, and if Jokic comes back, if Nikola Jovic, who's one of the other guys over there, right, Bogdanovic, if these guys are healthy, they're going to give the U.S. a run for their money next year in the Olympics. But let's see how that all shakes out. But anyway, Team USA lost, and that's embarrassing because we're supposed to win basketball, not lose it. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about that one, I guess. But yeah.
Well, I got more to say, Stu. Hold on. I just want to look at this. Damn! That's impressive. Okay, I take into account with what you were saying about how, whatever. There not a lot of players, whatever. It all comes down to population with professional sports and where people come from and all that. Because the pool's only so big. Let's say, for instance, there's 6,000 people. Out of those 6,000 people, how many of them are going to become a professional basketball player? Maybe 1%, right? Right. That's a for instance. These are fake numbers. Fake numbers.
I know.
You look at the population of Canada. Canada's population, and this is currently, is less than the state we are living in right now.
Yeah, but Chewy, that means they have less talent to choose from then by that logic.
How many professional basketball players come from the Bay Area currently in the NBA?
Lillard.
Exactly, my friend. We have one professional basketball player, and we got the population. Now, I don't know about SoCal. There's quite a few, right? You got like half the Clippers.
Yeah, I mean, there's way more.
Kawhi Leonard, CP3, or not? Paul George. No, I meant Paul George. I was mistaken.
Paul George. I mean, yeah. Look, I think LA is usually the best producer of basketball.
Yeah, basketball players. But out of NorCal, dude, you got one. So even if you split California in half, which we know there's more in SoCal than there is in NorCal, but our population is equivalent to that. I mean, what's really crazy to me is Australia, which only has 25 million people, which is a lot less than Canada or California, has had quite a few basketball players in the last 10 years.
Yeah, to that point, like, okay, so
big boys.
I've debated this with my dad about soccer. I'm like, why can't the United States, with a country this large, with this many people, why can't we produce just one U.S. player of world-class talent? How come in all of these years we haven't even done one? And I always point to my dad. I'm like, take a country like a country like Georgia. Look how small of a country that is. One of their players right now is one of the top 20 players in the world, right? And how come we can't do that? He came from Georgia, this guy, right? And then flip it to basketball. Serbia is a small country, but the best player in the world is from Serbia, Jokic. How come they produce this unbelievable talent, right out of this small country that isn't known for basketball, really?
That is impressive. That's impressive.
It's like, bro, every other country except for us, when I'm talking about soccer this way,
yeah,
they seem to be able to produce great players.
But
how come we can't? And like when it comes to U.S. basketball, sometimes here's my thing with U.S. basketball. This is just my take. I don't know it too well. I feel like the AAU basketball destroys it. All our players learn is like this video game basketball as opposed to learning real basketball they teach them in Europe and shit. In Europe, they teach you like real basketball. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that development is being lost on this country. But sorry, I cut you off.
No. What I was going to say to answer your question, Siddhuey, and this is what I always think about, is that your best athletes aren't doing our best American athletes are doing one of the three major sports, and they're not doing soccer. I would say the same thing. I think skateboarding has drastically changed in the last 20 years when it became more mainstream because you got actual people that were athletes, not just your outcast. And that's why skateboarding has propelled so much into being like, look, you look at the professionals from the 90s that we grew up watching into the early 2000s, they weren't real athletes. They were just skateboarders. They didn't do training stuff, yada, 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 so forth and so on. You look at the guys that are riding right now, currently, your top tier, those dudes are actual athletes. And I think that can be said as same thing with soccer in the sense of like your top athletes are going to want to play one of three sports, especially because of the college system that we have here in the United States. They're going to want to play. They're going to want to play football first and foremost, probably then basketball, and third last is baseball. You know, like how many people are good at baseball and another sport, but they always choose the other sport? Jordan, for instance, or LeBron with football, he chose basketball. You know what I mean? Like they're always going to choose those sports. They never seem to choose soccer. And I think that's just a cultural thing that it's not cool yet here in the US, and they have to change that perspective and make soccer cool. And they need to have a Deion Sanders, to bring it back to our last subject. They need a Deion Sanders to be a coach or something, someone similar to his attitude and how he presents himself in the US soccer industry to make soccer seem cooler, to get the top athletes to want to play in that industry.
I mean, I hear you. I think that's all true. I do also think,
you can't prove it or disprove it. Yeah.
no, I know. I agree with you because like here's part of it, right? Like if you want to achieve riches in soccer, like real money, you have to go to Europe. It's not going to happen here. So how many kids growing up are like, hey, if you're really good at this, age 18, you're out of here and you're off to another country. Like how much is that going to attract a lot of people, right? Because I don't think a lot of people like want to leave the United States too much, you know. But I also think, look, take France. France's number one sport is not basketball.
Soccer.
But France produces a ton of basketball players. Like they
number
have.
One sport, soccer?
Yeah, number one is soccer in France. I'd even probably say number two is probably like water polo or some bullshit. Like
tennis.
In Spain.
Tennis, no? Maybe tennis?
Maybe, but take Spain. Spain, the top two sports are probably like soccer and like either
skateboarding.
Yeah, skateboarding or
no, it's not.
Water
it's
polo.
Not.
Water polo is really popular in Spain, stuff like that, right? But even then, Spain can produce the Gasol brothers. They can produce like Usman Garuba, who's playing in the place of the Rockets. They can produce Serge Ibaka, like. They can even give us talent. So that's the kind of thing where it's like, I understand that we have three major sports, but you should still be able to give us some soccer talent that's better than Christian fucking Pulisic. You know what I mean? But
I was right. I was freaking right.
What?
Number two in France, tennis.
Tennis. Okay, yeah. So then you say tennis, right? So let's say
football's number one, which is soccer.
Yeah. So soccer, tennis, and like whatever. So the point is, it's not the main sports.
Dude, what do you think three is though? Let's jump onto this real quick.
Badminton.
Cycling.
That makes sense.
It does. And then four, skiing.
That also makes sense. The Alps are close by.
5, swimming. Yeah.
See, the point is to be like, look, that you just named 5 sports and none of them are basketball. Yet they've given us Tony Parker, Wembanyama.
I scroll down. Basketball's 9. It's in the top 10.
Okay, but again, to the point about soccer, yes, we have other sports that are popular, but we have a huge country with a massive population. There's no reason why we can't have at least one soccer player that's great. That just bothers me that we can't. But anyway, that's a whole other thing.
I agree with you. I've always thought it's strange that we haven't had one yet. But yeah. I do think it comes down to like they're all ball sports. So it's like from my point of view, and it's like I don't know, like
yeah, the other part about this that soccer in this country has an issue with, and I'll just touch on this briefly. One is they have a pay-to-play system, which means you have to pay a lot, right? And that's stupid because that cuts off lower-income people in this country who have the chance to play. Second of all, soccer is often seen as like a suburban sport,
White
white
kids.
families, Asian
Yep.
families.
Yep.
And so culturally, it's
Hmm.
not very accepting to lower income people of whatever background, be them white, Hispanic, or black, whatever it might be. They're just not as accepting of those
Asian.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, even Asian, but like it's basically like lower income, right? You're talking about people just like it's more of a higher income sport. So that also repels people. Like I remember when I played soccer, I would play with families, Hispanic families, or even like played black players too, and they talked about like how they didn't like the culture around the sport because
Yeah.
it made them feel like whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have an issue there, but
That's
we're
what I
not
was
gonna.
saying. Like you gotta
Yeah,
you gotta
once you're
change it from the inside out to make those
yeah,
players want to play it, and it's difficult.
yep,
And I think that like you look at young sports, it's hard to look at the major sports because they've been around for so long and there's such an infrastructure and stuff. I think skateboarding is a great one to look at. You look at the popularity of the '90s and how it exploded, and how then all these athletes came in,
hmm
young kids that wanted to do it because it looked cool, but they're athletes, dude. They're athletes. Ninja is an athlete. You know,
yeah.
uh, and then how that like turns into a whole different thing. And now you look at today's and they're wearing short shorts and everyone's got Nike on. So it turned into any other sport, right?
Yeah.
And
True.
some would say Siddhuey, not too cool because of that. But I don't know. I'm not here to say that. All right, let's move on to the culture switch.
So this one,
Swift.
there's the art. I think that the correct article is the one right to the right of it. I think you
Oh, right here.
triggered it. Yeah, this
My bad. My
leads
bad.
to.
Let me go back. Oh, there we go.
So the NBA has just instituted a new rule, which, long story short, penalizes teams for resting players on national TV games, and also if they rest players during the new mid-season tournament that's going to be introduced this year. So if
Vegas.
you, huh?
Vegas.
No, I don't think it's in Vegas. I think it's just like regular team, like at the regular arenas for the teams. I
Really?
think
Huh.
I'm not entirely sure, but I think that's what it is. So it's a mid-season tournament though that's happening. So the new rules are basically aimed at trying to make sure that star players play a national TV game. So fans, when they turn on that Thursday TNT game, they're not going, "Why isn't LeBron playing?"
Right.
Right? Like they actually see those players. Look, I don't have much to say about this other than just say like something does have to be done because I remember last year, like I remember specifically, I was waiting almost like a week for the game between the 76ers and the Denver Nuggets. They were going to play each other on a national TV night, and I was so looking forward to it because I felt like that game was going to decide the MVP. And it's rare when you see two superstar players match up against each other possession after possession in the NBA. Think about it. If Steph Curry is playing Damian Lillard, how often do they actually guard each other? Never, right? If Kevin Durant's playing against I don't know, let's take LeBron James. They're not guarding each other, right? So you kind of lose that in a matchup. And back in the day, back when I first started watching basketball, the two superstars would lock heads, lock horns, and just like go at it, and it was fun. But that's kind of gone away in today's game. So I was really looking forward to that Nuggets Sixers game because it was going to kind of be a throwback to that old school matchup stuff, right? Well, Jokic ended up sitting out because of rest or whatever, and we never got to see that game. So there is like a certain thing where it's like it's really annoying to get excited for a national game and then have it kind of like end up being a dud, right? And that happened a lot last season. So that's good that they're putting the rules in. But if you click over to the tab to your right, I think it's important for people to know that when the NBA, when the NBA is load managing, this is not players, generally speaking, this is not players who are sitting there going, I don't want to play, I want to make sure I rest, right? This comes from the teams. As you see here, this guy right here, by the way, a little background on who this guy is. This guy, Nate Jones, is the agent for Damian Lillard. Excuse me. He is one of those guys who's been like a fixture in kind of the NBA agency culture and just like the NBA for a long time. And he's someone that often offers a lot of good insight into agents and just kind of the what happens at the executive level of NBA. So he was saying like, actual all-star players hate the load management, which is true. And we're going to get to Steph Curry, who's going to show us that in just a second. But they really hate the load management, but it comes from the teams. So what the teams do is the teams have their doctors, and their doctors basically are monitoring your physical well-being through a number of different tests. They have and they have it so it's like you have a different colors like green, yellow, red. As you start trending from the yellow to the red, that's when the team doctor's like, okay, we're going to sit you out and give you some rest so you can recover and push yourself back into that green area, right? So this comes from team doctors. So if you flip over to the next tab, you will see here. So this is a guy basically saying, "Oh yeah, this is all with the players," and he goes, "No, I work with NBA players." And you can see there's top-down organizational pressure for stars to sit based on tracking systems. That's what I'm talking about. They have these tracking systems. That's like I think it's like green, yellow, red that tells you when you should sit or not. So now if you go to the next tab, here an actual MVP caliber player and Steph Curry tells you what. Huh?
Two-time.
Yes. Sorry, I wasn't trying to shortchange.
Come on now.
But what I'm saying is here we have an MVP, two-time MVP, and giving us real insight into what the load management is like. So he says, I usually campaign to play every game, right? There's this misconception about load management, and it's like the player saying, hey, I want to sit. But that's not the case. It's the staff saying, yeah, you can't play tonight. And they usually, and they'll force these guys off. And as you said, the very last line of his little screenshot there's a lot of science involved. These are just, again, these are decisions from doctors, not from players. But fans always blame the players. Like, oh, Steph doesn't want to play tonight. He's just sitting out. Steph wants to play, dog.
No, I always assumed it was the ownership.
I wasn't just saying.
No, but I'm just saying, like, I think a lot of people maybe assume it's the ownership.
Hopefully they do, because I feel like a lot of the hate and sort of the vitriol is directed to the players. And it's like, dog, these, like, Kawhi Leonard, yeah, sure, you can yell at him. He don't want to fucking play. But, like, Steph Curry, LeBron, like, these guys want to play, bro. They don't become these great players because they don't want to play basketball, okay? They're obsessed with the game on a way that you and I are not obsessed with anything in our lives. We just aren't. So I just
Siddhuey speaks for himself, not for me.
So all I can say is I like the move that they're making. I think this is good. I think this will put pressure on the teams because the owners don't want to pay these fines. They'll put pressure on the teams, and hopefully we get more games with the superstar players. That's all we want to see. We just want to see the stars play. So hopefully this is a positive change in that direction. So
I think it's interesting to be telling the owners what they can and can't do when there is this giant mystery still that we haven't unsolved or haven't seen the solution. We haven't seen anything about, which is the ref scenario. And I think that the NBA, if you're going to tell owners that they can't play their players, which are their investment, because unlike in extreme sports, and I know a lot about that, but in basketball, your player is more than just a player necessarily for your team. He's also a pawn for trading to get other players and so forth and so on, right? So it kind of seems crazy to me to tell teams they have to do this or you're going to be fined when DL, you just last week on our show, please watch, you're kind of shelving a whole referee story that seems pretty obvious that he was rigging games, and it sounds like there might be other referees in your league that you have control over, Commissioner Silver, right? Silver?
Yes, Adam Silver.
That you're not nipping that in the butt. I think that's a bigger issue than load management. Now, if the NBA owners felt like it's going to be fair, because maybe the NBA owners also, and I'm just playing the devil's advocate here, maybe the owners know this referee hates Draymond, for instance. So we're going to sit Draymond tonight because this referee hates him, right? And he's going to call everything on Draymond. Draymond's just an easy person to pick for this scenario. We're sitting him. But now they're going to get a penalty because it's a TNT Thursday night game. Shaq and the boys are in town. So we're going to get penalized for that, even though the reason we're sitting him is because this ref freaking sucks. So to me, it's just interesting to put more rules and guidelines on the ownership / teams when there seems to be this bigger issue with the NBA might not have control over their actual staff, which would be the referees. I just think that that's interesting because that story that you brought up, I haven't seen anything about it since.
Yeah, I think there's a couple. I think you're absolutely right. It is a bigger issue than the one we're talking about here with load management. The problem, and I'm sure that NBA owners are emailing or privately talking to Adam Silver like, you need to get this shit straightened out. But the reason the load management is getting more attention is because this is the issue that people complain about on social media a lot, and
ESPN.
just ESPN.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they'll have whole segments yelling at the players for load
Commercial,
management.
well, and commercial people buying commercial space on the games
Yeah,
themselves. Yeah.
yeah. So it's an issue on that in that regard.
Yeah.
So you're right. The referee thing is bigger, there's no doubt. But because fans are making a bigger stink about this, the NBA is going to address
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
How they address it, So
Yeah. If I'm an owner and I have any insight on the whole referee thing, and I'm a little pissed off that they want me to play my players, even though I have my scientists slash doctors over here that I've hired.
Yeah.
I have these dudes on staff here. The NBA is not paying for these doctors or scientists, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, that's cool. But also, maybe you could fix some of the things, because it's different with professional sports. It's so interesting to me how there's an overarching league, that controls everything that goes on in the sport. These sports are, it's just interesting because, like,
it's like a monopoly. I mean,
it is like there's one ball brand, there's one or two clothing brands. You know what I mean? It's very, like, ball sports are very controlled by these major corporate entities.
Mhm.
There's not, like, and one is the only thing that comes to mind that felt like a mom and pop. And I don't think they're even around anymore, are they?
No, I mean, if they are, they're not at all in having
The
any
level,
sort of
yeah.
traction. Yeah, I mean, the reality is, like, yeah, it's really hard for smaller brands to kind of find a foothold in the market, because what you need to get a foothold in the market is a top level athlete.
Yep.
Right? But you can't pay for that top level athlete. Like,
Yep.
the way Nike made its bones, if you've seen the movie Air, is they basically took their entire budget
Yeah.
and put it towards one guy, and they
Mhm.
bet big.
They bet
And
big.
it just so happened that one guy was Michael fucking Jordan.
Exploded.
Okay?
Exploded all over everybody.
Nike is nothing without Michael Jordan. Let's be quite honest about what they are as a company. Michael Jordan is why they are what they are, right? I mean, yes, they'll argue Prefontaine and the running shit, but it's really about Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
So you have to bet big. Like Adidas, when they got into the basketball game, they were able to do it because their soccer shit was so poppin' that they could bring the money into basketball, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, how do you go if you're a company? It's like, I want to get into basketball. Well, how the fuck do you get into it if you aren't like a major brand? You know what I mean? Like, it's just hard. So yeah, it's a tough thing. But
yeah, it's hard. It's hard to get like you said, you need to have a star, and because
you gotta have a star.
Yeah, it's a lot different. They control a lot, so they can make these rules, and the league and every team has to follow. There can't be one team that's like, no, we're not going to do that. It's like, that's crazy. Like that's unheard of. That hasn't happened.
And also you have to think too, like when you're making sports footwear, right?
Mm-hmm.
That especially for basketball, like that stuff's got to be really good. Like it actually has to have a good traction pattern on the shoe. It has to have good padding, which takes a decent amount of money. It's hard for a new company to just come in and have all of that tech, have all of that knowledge, and then be able to put out a shoe at a price point that's going to allow them to make a profit and keep growing. Like
attached to a big name.
Exactly. There's just too many hurdles to jump through for a small company.
I mean, like, look, Siddhuey, I know this more than anyone, bro. These major shoe corporations came in the last 10, 15 years and have destroyed they've damaged the culture significantly in extreme sports. They have. And they were able to do it with money. They were able to throw money. And here's the thing that gets scary about all that. They've destroyed the skateboard shoe industry. If Nike decides tomorrow, which they have done in the past, don't ever forget, this is why you can't trust them, they're ending the program. We, in our industry, have nothing that's on the level of that. You know what I mean? And all these skateboarders, they want the bag. And I get it. They want the bag. They deserve the bag. They want to own a home. They want to have a family. I get it. And Nike can provide that. But when you're culture then has to now rely on that. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. And that's kind of what we put themselves into.
That's a similar thing has kind of happened to hip hop and rap. Whereas if you remember, like back in the day, there was this sort of like people around the culture that wanted to make sure it wasn't corrupted with nonsense. So like, there was always this kind of like barrier around it that kept hip hop and rap, like it reflected the culture. I mean, there were times like, Public Enemy songs at the time, like they were reflecting what was happening in the world, and they were like the biggest songs, in rap at that time, right?
And videos. Some of those videos were hitters.
The videos, yeah. Think about rap now, where like now, of course, these guys are getting bigger bags, obviously bigger money contracts to go, produce this largely pop rap. You know what I mean? And it's the culture of rap does no longer reflect the world that these rappers are living in. Think about it. We lived through George Floyd, through Trayvon Martin, all of this. How much of the rap that you listened to reflected the things that was actually happening during that time? None of it, right? None of it was like really reflecting that. So the point to your point is like people just chase the money and the culture around it.
Yeah.
This amazing thing is gone. So
Yeah.
I totally get it from the rap perspective.
No. I would say same with rock and roll, just music in general, dude.
Yeah.
Music in general.
Probably.
All of music has you look at like Vietnam War and all the crazy rock and roll that was coming out because of that. Shit, dude. Let's just go back to because we just passed 9/11 and think about American Idiot and how Green Day went heavy on Bush. You didn't really see that even with Trumperfield being in office. There wasn't a rock and roll band that was doing that because it's also gotten so risky with social media and how people can perceive things and take it and make it into a meme, and then that thing gets you know what I mean. It's just a different. We're old.
Yeah, we are. Dog.
We're old, and things have definitely changed. So.
Yep.
It's just interesting. I this load management thing, going back to it, I'm not upset by it. I just thought I saw the articles about this too. It was big. It was all over the phone.
Yeah.
I'm kind of juiced because I hate it too when you watch a game and Steph would be sitting out, especially being a Warriors fan, and you're like, man, Steph's not even playing tonight. Like, that sucks. So I think it is cool, but I also it makes me also think, interesting NBA that you're doing one thing. When there's this big controversy that me and Siddhuey talked about last week, you ain't doing anything really to fix that one, though, huh? Interesting. Yeah. So I just thought that was interesting. So let's move on to our more fun things. We got one on basketball.
So the dancing man is dancing with his Serbian national team, who finished second. Nikola Jokic is a dancing man, if you don't know. He is having the summer of his life, as he should, having won the championship, and you should celebrate everything that you win in life because that's what life is about. So, he's celebrating his Serbian team and with his shirt off, and it's pretty great. Well done, Jokic.
I wish it was Jimmy Butler. Anyways.
Okay, this one.
Minutos aquí con esta carrera, más de 20 botargas, realmente.
So there's a mascot race. All the Costa Rican soccer teams have their mascot race in the obstacle course. Check out this fun bit of fun here.
I like how some of them are just going around it. They're not even actually trying. We totally caught some of you.
It's so great. It's looking at all these mascots.
It's also great because you could tell that they don't put a lot of money into their mascots. A lot of these are like the Halloween costumes that just inflate with the little like motor system. And look, this guy's even popped. This guy popped his. It's not even working. He's just walking.
And they have to get on this little dude. It's just so ridiculous that they did this. But I'm so happy that they did this. And it's just fantastic. Look at this cow he won. The winner of the Costa Rican mascot race. Shout out to him or her. But anyway, just wanted to.
That's good. Hey, that's a good one. That's our little soccer update. Yeah. And then we got a baseball update for all you baseball fans.
This guy hits a single. You can see the hilarity that ensues. Or a double, actually. A double.
Yeah, it's double.
No way.
And that ball boy is just throwing. Now keep watching. Keep watching because he has no clue. Look at this. Look at his face. He's just sitting there. Look at this guy. He was like, yeah, whatever, bro. No one told me.
Dude, I'd love to see that. Like,
So
what
good.
more must have happened during that, right?
Huh?
What else
What do you mean,
happened?
bro?
Did they
The
fire that?
ball, I mean, no, they didn't. I mean, he just stayed the rest of the game. I mean, I think they ended up ruling it a double or something. But bro, how do you even confuse that this is a foul ball? How? How do you not even see that? Like, no sense. And the way he just casually grabs the ball, throws it, and then sits down. And the way that the other security looks at him like, bro, you should have done that. He's like, do what? Like, he's like, do what? He's like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Look at this. What do you mean? What do you mean? No clue.
He like
has
looks
no
over.
clue.
And he looks back. My bad. He says my bad. He totally
Yeah.
says my bad. That's got to be what he says right here. Let's put my bad.
I love him.
He
He
says
doesn't give a
my
fuck.
bad, dude.
Yeah, he doesn't give a fuck though. He's just like, yeah, whatever, dog. My bad. He's tatted up. Like, I've never seen a ball boy look
With
like
hand
this.
tattoos and stuff.
Seriously, dude. He looks like he just showed up from like his house. He's like, yeah, I'll come sit down over here.
My bad.
Look at that dude. It's
What
so amazing.
What a buffoon. What a buffoon.
Top tier guy, but a great, just a great man.
Hey,
A great
baseball's
man.
going, baby. It's almost
going.
playoffs.
Going,
It's
you know?
almost playoffs, baby. Let's go.
But that video made me laugh, and I thought we'd share it on the show. So yeah, that's our
What
show
an
basically.
idiot, dude. I can't believe that.
I just love the dude. The security guard looks at him, is like, "No, bro, no, you should have done that shit." He's like, "Do what? The fuck you mean? What do you mean I didn't do anything? You know?" That dude was literally playing outfield. He was just playing right field. It's amazing.
Gives it to a
was
fucking
playing
fan.
right
Dude, if
field.
I'm that fan that has that ball, jeez, man.
Oh, dude,
That ball.
totally. Yes.
Center
You
my
gotta-
shelf, bro. Come on now. That's amazing.
you
And
can
that's
tell
why,
people-
Siddhuey, I love baseball for moments like that. Just out of pocket.
You can literally tell people I took a live ball. Like, no, I took a live ball from a game, dog. This was a live ball. I took this. So good. Anyway, yeah, good stuff.
Oh, man.
So,
And that's our show, man. We covered a lot. We had a lot of football talk, some basketball updates, and then some fun here at the end with a little soccer and a little baseball. Keep you updated.
we'll do maybe a tier list next week. I know this week we had a lot of shit, so I couldn't get through with it. But next week, hopefully, we'll have enough time to do like a tier list or something on something fun.
We get to it. It was still a good show, bro. It was fun. Shout out to Jer for watching.
Yeah, shout out Jer, bro. Thank you, Jer, for watching. I appreciate it. Someone, needs to.
Yeah, turn on your post notifications, people, so you know that we're on. Come on now.
Yeah, come on, guys. Me, like Siddhuey does when he's,
Oh.
watching another show.
Oh. All right. Well, we'll be back next week with some more. Well, you know what, Siddhuey? Do we? We'll talk about it next week because it's only been 1 week for the NFL, right?
Yeah, it's only been 1 week. I didn't want to dive into too many big things.
We'll look at
Aaron
the.
Rodgers. Yeah, we'll do the standings next week. That'll be
We'll
a
do the
better
standings.
time.
We'll do the standings
Yeah.
for that and baseball. See where we're at with
Yeah.
baseball because baseball should be almost wrapping up. It's almost getting into the fall
Yeah.
here, so we'll look at that next week.
And it'd be good to do like a tier list on something NFL related. Now the NFL has started. We did one on baseball and logos. I think we should do something on the NFL.
We'll do NFL logos, but we all know what the number one NFL logo
logos.
is. We already
Yeah.
know what it is.
Yeah.
Your brother knows. I know.
Yeah, we all know.
We know
All
what
know.
the number one logo
Yeah.
is.
No, it's over.
It's
Yeah, we
over,
know.
bro. Come on now.
Yeah. Let's see. The Cowboys are up there too, though, so we'll see.
A star.
Dude, it has to, bro. It hits on that gray background with the little like white and piping around it. Yeah, it's gonna hit.
You know what's interesting,
goes
real
up.
quick? There's no
Uh-huh.
pirates in the NBA. You got pirates in baseball. You got
Yeah,
pirates in
that's
football.
true, that's
There's no
true.
pirates in the NBA. It'd be interesting to have a
that's really
pirate
good
team.
point.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I honestly think like there's nothing that involves pillaging. Nothing that but also
Yeah,
there's
that's
nothing that
true.
involves that kind of like stuff.
Oh, and there was a Vikings scandal. I saw something on Jerry's Vikings that had to do with some racial stuff that happened.
Yeah, I saw
Depressing story.
Well, I mean, no, yeah, it's kind of. I just figured like this was gonna be like all the topics we kind of talked about, kind of light and fun. I was like, why bring race and like
Yeah,
into
yeah.
it?
I just saw I don't see much about I don't look at football, but I did see that and I was like, oh, and the reason it stood out to me, Jerry loves the Vikings. So when I see stuff about the Vikings, I look at it. I'm like, oh, that's Jerry's team.
Yeah,
Um, we'll get
yeah.
into it. We'll get into it next week. We'll get into it. We'll do a little coverage
Yeah,
on
I'll do it.
We'll
Yeah,
talk a little, we'll
yeah.
bash Jerry's team a little bit. Who knows? All right. Until then, thanks for watching, everyone. And we'll be back next week.
Peace.
Siddhuey Reviewy.